How you doing, everybody? My name is Michael Zapsik. I'm from AMC's Comic Book Man, and you're listening to iWalter.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain. It's a plane. It's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who, disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. Hopefully I sound, pretty decent because, let me see if I can split this out. I'm actually on. Yeah, what actually happened, so forgive my levels. I'm going to check those right now. I am still here, folks. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear myself. But, yeah, what happened was, I apologize. I actually am getting a late start again. I did not want to do this because I am so tired. I actually got no sleep last night setting up my show. But I got to tell this woman, she's really cool, too, Jade Starlin, that something's wrong with her her Facebook page because it keeps on coming up that she keeps on responding to something. I'm not even talking to her most of the time. So there's like a virus on one of her pictures or whatever on her Facebook. So it keeps on just sending me the same picture over and over again, like as though I responded to it. I hope it's on her end. I actually hope it's not on either end. Anyway, just to give people a heads up, apologize, I'm going to empty my recycle bin on this new computer. Yeah, I kind of didn't realize these cables go. Thank God they're replaceable. I didn't think they were. But I didn't even know what it was, actually. There's a cable that runs on my amp. I call it an amp. It's actually called the Scarlett 2i2. You can actually go up to 4 mics with this unit. I only got the one that only does 2 people, because that's mostly what I'm trying to stick with, is if I do an interview, it's just with another person. Plus, it's a great amp. But the cable on there is the same one you use on your printer. So it's... Let me see. I had to actually order it tonight. I got all this mess on my desk. I did have what was called a ratification meeting today. That actually went really well. I didn't expect it to. So here I was panicking, and I'm pretty much pessimistic. That's a given. So I always think of what may happen as the worst possible outcome, not what would be the best one. So we actually made out pretty well. I'm a little skeptic about the wording still, but overall, we did not do that bad, I guess. The future will tell us differently, probably. So anyway, this cable went on my computer, which was the last thing. I was just ready to start. I ordered it. Thank God it was only $5 for a brand new one, because I went with the Amazon Basics brand, which I'm actually using a lot of my cables and USB adapters. They're all Amazon ones, and they're actually highly rated, so that's a plus. But the cable that went on my amp was, again, it's the same one you basically used. It says connects mice, keyboards, and speed critical devices such as external hard drives, printers, cameras to your computer. So it's not that expensive. Some of the brands are about $9, which, excuse me, isn't that bad. The only reason I was able to figure it out, though, because I have the same exact connector. I have again, it's from Amazon. It actually works really well. Amazon products don't work bad at all. They're actually really good, and they're dirt cheap. So I have the same exact cable that's on my amp that I'm using. It's broken right now, so I'm kind of got it jury-rigged to work right now. So I'm hoping I sound all right, because I just got this new computer set up. My other one I ordered two computers, same brand. One's the Grandiose. It would be $900. The one I'm using right now was only $550 because it's discontinued now, so it got dropped from $700 or $800 down to $550. That one I'm going to keep because I actually are $525. I got a 2-year warranty from Micro Center. I'm still scratching my head, by the way, because if you really want to dig underneath the processor, one I have is two systems now. I'm going to try to get rid of the one for $400. And the one I have now have what's called the i5 core processor. The one I really wanted was an i7, but the only major difference is there's a thing called on-die cache, I think, on the chip, and sometimes that actually does make a difference because back in the day when you're talking like Pentium 4s and stuff, folks, those only had I think 512, 256 on-die cache, and it was like, oh my God, and then they went to a whole whopping 1 meg of cache, and it was like, oh my God, that's a lot. I think it was 1 meg. I don't think it was 1. Yeah, I think it was 1 meg. Let me look it up because actually, anyway, before I even go to that distance with that story, I just wanted to let you know the chip. Let me see. Let me put my glasses back up. It's called a USB 2.0 cable, and it's an A male to a B male. So, they're both male sides, but the difference is one's kind of square looking. That would be the side I think that goes in, normally used to go into your printer. That actual device is used for many, many different things. So the cable, I guess, for me, it must have got pinched somehow. And, it works. That's what I need, and it's like $5. I'll get it by Thursday, probably, I guess. Well, let's see. What's today? Monday? It was Monday. It's Tuesday. Wednesday, probably at the latest. Thursday, by the latest. Wednesday. My computer's supposed to be coming tomorrow. I'm going to see this i7, and it's like, oh, no, do I really want to keep this? Funny thing was, Micro Center had the exact same specs on the same computer for $50 less. But the computer I picked up was an open box, which was $100 off for the i5. So you got to kind of weigh that stuff out. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm kind of curious myself. I'll put in i5 specs. And you got to put in 6th generation. Apparently, it was different generations of the chips. 6, yeah, because I have the 6th generation chip. Cache, let's see, it's a mobile one, so that's also, and I think mine's a 6200. There wasn't really that much of a significant difference between the 7 and the 5. They call it one the 6200, the other one's a 65. One's like basically your your consumer grade one. It doesn't run as, probably doesn't draw as much juice as the other one, which is always good. Okay, I think the one I have has what's called 3 megs of cache. So then you got to look at the i7. I think that has 4. i7 specs, and that would be 6500 model. Now, that would make a difference. The ones are showing 2 cores, 4 threads. Yeah, okay, that's the mobile chip. It actually has 1 more meg of cache. Now, does cache make a difference? Yeah, because back in the day, it actually did make a really big difference. So, it all depends. Now, on these HP laptops, they honestly don't make a tremendous difference. Now, the other thing that was a real, like the extra threads, if it had 4 cores and 4 threads for the i7, that definitely makes a difference. But it actually only has 2 cores, 2 threads for both the i5 Intel chip and the i7. Now, the extra 1 mega cache will make a difference, actually, believe it or not. Give or take what you do, honestly. The thing you have to ask yourself, is it worth an extra $300 for that cost? Now, the system I wanted to get has 12 gigs of RAM on the thing. Mine has 8, the one I'm running right now. I actually, you can. It's been suggested by many people you max it out for the maximum memory, which is only 16 gigs of RAM. I'm saying only because my Apple desktop, I didn't max it out, but I definitely pushed it up there. I'm running 32 gigs of RAM. I'm running 4 sticks of 8 gig memory, and that's DDR3. This is actually slower on my desktop because it's an older machine. It's much older. It's only running 1333 megahertz, which actually was the faster RAM for this particular model I have of my Mac, because my Mac actually is a 2010 model. My desktop is actually 2016, 2015. It's not that old. It's I would say 2015 to be generous, because they stopped making them the end of last year. Now, the extra cache depends what you're doing. It will make a difference. I don't intend to use my laptop. I would use it as a backup in case there's a PC game I would want to buy. But I've always bought the i5 chips because they're the middle ground chips. Now, they did, I think in the past, made some core processors, the iCore Intel processors, that were 4-core, 4-thread. Now, the threads mean if you have a 4-core processor from Intel and it says to have 4 threads, that means 4 threads basically means you multiply. Well, actually, it means 4 threads means each core acts as though it's running 2 processors, even though one is. That's where what's something called hyper-threading comes in. So if you have. Now, again, on these newer chipsets from Intel, at least from HP, the ones they put in there, both are running 2 cores and 2 threads, which means it basically runs as though it actually had 4 processors in the machine. So they're theoretical processors. Back in the day when Intel put out the core chip, I don't know what they're going to do eventually. I'm sure they're going to come out with a different processor. But they're going to milk the core processors. They were really expensive when they first came out because the only one that was in existence when they first made the first iCore chip was the i7. That was the only one. And those were not only really expensive, but they were really powerful because what they did, and back, I mean, you're talking quite a few years back, when it first came out, it was like, wow, this is cool, because it finally was something out there that replaced and permanently destroyed the Intel Pentium chip, which the Pentium branded name is still around, but basically all they are is core chips that are probably just a little bit slower, so they just call them Pentium chips. Now, they have what's called an iCore 3, which is basically, in my opinion, is equivalent to your Celeron. Now, the Celerons generally were the chips that just didn't have something working on them, so they basically, after a while, they actually made them much slower. So when the Pentiums were out, they had something called the Celeron, and the Celeron basically was, originally, you had a chip that didn't quite make it as a Pentium 4. Something did not work properly. It wasn't a bad chip, it just wasn't the highest one that was developed, because they have these wafers, and on these wafers there's, I'm gonna exaggerate, like 1 million chips that they can actually print out of this one wafer. Like, they cut them out. Now, generally, if I remember correctly, the wafer is literally, you see those round discs, they're the wafers. Well, the chips are actually cut out of there. They're different processors. They're cut down to different processors. I could be wrong about the way I'm explaining this, but this is the way I kind of perceived it. So what happened was, generally, the chips that got further out on the wafer generally had some problems. Something did not work properly. It wasn't a bad chip. It just did not work to its fullest potential. So I can't remember exactly how the configurations go. That's getting a little bit above what I remember. But the bottom line is the chips weren't, instead of throwing them out, they just made them low-profile chips, and it became what's called the Celeron. You know, they actually shut off certain parts of the chip. Still was a working chip. There was nothing really wrong with it. It just did not work. That would be the cream of the crop out of that wafer. So that became a Celeron. that kind of, the Celeron name became very popular because they were consumer-grade chips. They were definitely much slower than your Pentiums back in the day. But the Celeron kind of disappeared as far as I know. Maybe they still make Celeron named, branded stuff. I don't think so, though. And I think what replaced that was because, again, the Pentium name is still around. They're still making money off of it, but they're basically core chips, I think. So what they end up doing, though, get myself confused with my mouses because I have two different trackball mice, and one's running my laptop and one's running my desktop with my stories. Anyway, they actually developed what was called, the i7 chip, by the way, was a chip that was like way above its time. Like you could get, I think it was, I don't know if that was the highest, but there was one with 4 cores and it had 4 threads, which meant it had actually ran as though it was 8 processors. It was like, holy crap. You can get a single chip that virtually acted as though it was an 8-core machine, like 8 different processors running on one chip. That was like amazing back in the day. Now, I don't know, because if you actually did, you could get what's called dual like motherboards, your main board that actually might have had two sockets, because they're basically socketed. The chips go in these sockets. If you had a 2-socket chip, and they were i7s, which would have cost you probably more than your life savings at the time, you could run 2 of these with hyperthread internal. And the hyperthreading is actually where it kicks into play, where you got, back in the day it was useless with the Pentiums. The Pentiums, that hyperthreading was there. It's just the sole purpose was just to make the chip look like it was actually working, or try to make it work harder, because it just, the clock speeds were horrendous. Like, the amount of work it did per clock cycle was garbage compared to, like, AMD back in the day. Now, though, hyperthreading actually serves a purpose. Intel is definitely the best processor out there. So, anyway, the i7s, if you had, like, a dual-socketed motherboard, you had 2-socketed chips, both i7s with 4 cores, that were running 4 threads and hyperthreading. Basically, that all goes together anyhow. You would have basically a machine that would look like it was running 16 processors, even though it was only 8. So that's how that comes into play, and Intel has been doing rather well with that. I don't know how long they're going to continue with this. I don't really mind, because it saves a hell of a lot of money, because developers can only make things as fast of what they have at their hands, even for the consumer grade. So the only problem is, even though it's nice, anytime anything gets upgraded on this type of hardware, it also becomes very expensive for everyone else. Though there's always that problem there. So I don't seem to mind. Anyway, HP laptops, the Star Wars ones, it all depends on what your motherboard can handle, too. Otherwise, you're basically going to be plunking money out that's just a total waste. But the i7 and the i5 have a seldom difference. The major difference, though, everything else is precisely the same. Because if you look at the numbers, the serial numbers they gave these chips, that HP ended up buying from Intel, there is one called the i5 6200 U, and then there's one that's called the 6500 i7U. Well, they're basically pretty much almost the same chip, minus that one chip has 1 more meg of on-die cache. Now, depending what you're doing, what kind of programs you're running, it will make a world of difference. Otherwise, it's just a complete waste of money. But it all depends. But there is some, ups and downs. I'm only going to use mine for basic use, and it'll be my, fully supported, what can I say, as far as this point, because this actually has NVIDIA graphics on this new HP laptop. That's a plus, because I completely turned off at this point of even this computer thinking that there's an extra GPU, which is built into my processor. I don't even want to use it. So that kind of alleviates any stress on the processor. Having two separate processors. One's the CPU, which now all it's going to be doing is only doing executions on what it needs to do, and it's not going to be trying to do that and plus the desktop GUI, as what it used to be called, which is now known as basically your plain and simple, your desktop. So that is being ran by the second processor, which is called the GPU at this point, which is NVIDIA. That's a different story altogether. The processors I was talking about, the 1 mega cache will make a difference. I don't know how much. I looked at specs on benchmarks from different programs between these two processors from Intel, which one is the i7 and the i5. The difference was, give or take what you're doing, was literally only about 1% to 2%. And sometimes, actually, the slower one, which I have right now, the i5, actually outperformed in some areas, very small areas, and very seldomly, the i5 actually outperformed the i7. Theoretically, though, on most of them, it was the i7, but it was only by a small margin of 1% to 2% of what I could see. So is it worth the extra $250 there? Not probably really. Your main thing is, and all that simply is, if you add the maximum memory of 16 gigs to your laptop, anytime you start opening files, even after you close them, they will still be stored pretty much in what it can in your RAM. So adding extra memory will make a difference. Right now I'm running 8. I can put another 8 gig stick in, which is only $30, I think, at this point. Top price would be about $37. Normally, I put the memory sticks in myself. Laptops, desktops, anything. I've been able to do it. This particular model of the Star Wars Limited Edition, it is of another HP laptop. They just kind of redesigned it with prettiness to make it look more like a Star Wars one. Again, the thing I liked about, I mentioned this yesterday, is the weight is really good. It's only 5 pounds. And honestly, if you lift it, it doesn't even feel like 5 pounds. It feels like less than 5 pounds. I'd say picking it up, because the way that the weight's dispersed, I actually have to look at that right now because I'm curious. I swear it's at like 5.6, which I don't really believe that weighs that much. Yeah, it's screen size is 15.6. 5.1 pounds is what it gets weighed in at. And I'm going to lift mine right now. Yeah, I felt 5 pounds before, but the weight is dispersed so far across. You're really pushing it. And I got the one with a little bit more, not much more. And I'm sure the i7, the i5 does not weigh that much. The power supply, they made it out to be a big fuss. Oh, yeah, the power supply is much bigger. The power supplies on these laptops is very small, and it's only ever so slightly larger on the one I have now. Like, you're talking, like, you could mistakenly not know which one was which unless you put them side by side. So that is the big thing on mine, because I have my old Apple laptop. That thing is wonderful, but the weight does get to be a little bit of a nuisance. And the screen is much smaller. It's a 13-inch. Now, 13-inch to 15-inch doesn't sound like much, but you can see the physical difference. I mean, the view screen is much better on the 15-inch, because you're also, when you say 15 inches, you're talking one that was my Apple laptop's 4x3. You know, it's a standard older laptop. It did not have a widescreen. My HP one is 15 inches, and it's also widescreen. So the viewing, now usually when they mean a viewing size, they go diagonally. So you usually actually lose a little bit, but believe it or not, the screen is much larger by the looks of it to me. So there's a lot of good things about that I do like about the HP Star Wars laptop. Now you can actually pick them up for really cheap too. Again, I got mine for $500, which was not bad, because when this originally came out, the same model, it was $800 for the middle ground Star Wars laptop. So yeah, it definitely had taken a little bit of a $300 loss, which I don't mind. It's just because it was discontinued also. Not that there's anything wrong with the laptops. They're actually pretty damn well built for the most part. They are, PC laptops aren't, in my opinion, built as well as Apple laptops because Apple actually uses a metal casing. Most of your PC laptops are made of plastic still, give or take. The older laptop I have from Apple is plastic, but it is a heavier plastic. This is actually paper-thin plastic, which is good and bad because it definitely cuts back on the weight, probably keeps the heat from, it helps the heat disperse much quicker, but also you have the problem of it breaking much more easily as well. That's why I needed the damage protection on my new system. Now, I'm looking at it right now on Intel's website, and I saw this. This is actually built into the processor as well, but they have something similar on my HT, the new one I bought, a program that actually helps if your data crashes, how it will back it up somehow or whatever. See if I can find it. Yeah, it's called HP 3D Drive Guard. So it actually regulates your hard drive in case it would crash. It would give you like a kind of a warning. Now, this is software, though, for HP, but there's actually, I see something on Intel's website for their processors. It says something about protection built in Intel Data Protection Technology. I have to look at that. There's another program that I thought was really interesting. It's built into the OS of the HP Star Wars laptop, and it's called HP CoolSense On. So what that is, you can turn it on and off. That regulates if there's too much heat being built up underneath your casing. It will keep a. It's basically like a CPU. I would say like a CPU temperature gauge, which the CPU would be your core processor. But also, whatever heat is being dispersed under a case, it keeps a constant look on that. So there was something else. Probably there is a temperature gauge that, if you have the right software, that's built into the hardware of the Intel chip. But the fact that there's actually a program that was given to me for free from the HP laptop, some of the stuff they give you as extras, a lot of it's just bloatware, but some of the stuff is actually really good. I'll have to tell you that much. I want to look right now because I kind of got mind. I actually have no clue about this. That's why I want to see it. About the Intel data, what is it called again? It sounds like it's something built into the hardware. Data protection technology. This is all in the i5-6200. So I've never heard of that. Something new they actually incorporated. I know they added some other stuff. Okay, what that is, it says it does have it. Intel AES new instructions, secure key, Intel software guard extension, which I guess obviously HP took advantage of that. Intel memory protection extension. So there's certain things in the newer processors of the i5 and i6. i5 and i7, I mean, that are pretty good. Now, I don't know if Intel incorporated this. I don't know that much. I haven't followed them as closely. It says right here, by the way, advanced technology, turbo boost, hyper-threading, which you really do use now. Now, here's one. I'm going down the 64-bit instructions because for years, chips were only 16-bit, 8-bit, and they went down when they were starting going back up. We had no more for years. Most core processors and most of your OSs, meaning Apple or Microsoft's, were all 32-bit. No more than that. 64-bit was like not really a big thing. And I know when actually Microsoft made their first 64-bit OS, which all of them now, they still make 32-bit OSs. But, and obviously all the processors you buy any longer, they used to all be 32-bit back in the day. Now they're all 64-bit processors to take, so the OSs can take advantage of that. What that basically does, it makes your OS run much smoother and much faster when both of them are on the same page. So obviously 64-bit OS and processor runs much smoother than a 32-bit OS or processor. So if you notice, if you run like Windows 7 that's only 32-bit processor and 32-bit OS, and then you run Windows 10, you're going to definitely notice a difference. One's going to be much, much faster, much more robust. So there is a difference there, folks. It looks like they did actually put it in there. Something Intel put in called identity protection technology, and a thermometer, basically a thermal monitor technology. Basically, that's basically like a thermostat built into your CPU. I apologize. And what that does, there is a GPU built into the newer core processors. All of them have them. That basically regulates the temperature to make sure, if it gets overheated, or give you a little bit of a warning. Obviously, though, you need an OS that can take advantage of that, or a program. It's already in there in the hardware. You just need a program to activate that part of the chip. That's all built into there. Intel Turbo Boost 2.0. There's certain things, I guess, maybe the 7 core processor has that the 5 does not have. I don't know. And I don't really honestly know what would be important to me and what wouldn't. I couldn't really say. Before I go any further, also, there is an i3 chip. And what the i3 chip is to me, I would assume, is basically just a way for people who want to spend the least amount of money. They really don't need all the horsepower. All they're going to be doing is checking email, playing a couple card games. My dad used to do that back with Solitaire back in the day. Things like that. Doing light web browsing, just reading articles and stuff. They won't need any more than an i3. That's like your Celeron of today's times. Not made quite the same way. They're not like deliberately crippled, I don't think, like they used to be when they made Celeron. So the i3 to me is your Celeron of today. So the i5s are like the happy, middle ground. The i7s are the ones like if you have a little extra cash and you have the expendable cash flow, then you go for the i7. I actually will have in my possession an i7, but I'm probably going to return and just keep the i5 at this point, because what's more important to me than anything else is be able to afford an extended warranty that will cover damage, because damage protection, I used to not believe in extended warranties, damage protection, but that actually has saved my life more times than I can mention. Now, here's a good example. I went through my second power cord, actually third power cord, on my used Apple laptop, and it hasn't cost me any more than what I paid for an extended warranty where I bought it from, which was Micro Center, which is what I got for this new laptop, too. I got my warranty through Micro Center. Now, this particular Apple laptop has gone through not only 3 power cables, it had also gone through 1 hard drive and 1 whole machine. So that actually paid for itself. Otherwise, I would have been spending, near over hundreds of dollars, close to over $1,000 in repairs, which had only cost me $150. So it paid for itself like 3, 4, 5 times over already. So I can't say enough about that. It was something I was going to mention. Back in the day, AMD actually started this years ago, and it was a really nice idea. AMD actually put the first time, if the OS wrote for it, it put it in the hardware, in the chip. AMD, when they made processors, actually that send out a signal that kind of, if anybody would try to attack your machine, like put a virus on there, it would execute through the hardware as long as your OS would be able to take advantage of it. Like if it was written in the operating system for Windows, Linux, or whatever, I'm not sure if would take advantage of that. Apple, but Windows did, I think, at the time. Microsoft, I'm sure they still do. Probably certain versions of Linux. if it was in the hardware, but the program would have to take advantage of that, would actually send out a scrambled signal, so to speak. That's in layman's terms, that would basically block viruses. It was a hardware virus protection, literally, physically in the unit itself, the processor. That was very unique. So I think Intel kind of incorporated that into their newer chips, and since they've been making these newer chips. That's what I wanted to say. So that's pretty cool. Like having, you need kind of both, but the fact that I don't know how well it works, I would think it would work pretty well. But yeah, incorporating into your processor something that actually sends a signal out that scrambles anybody that, it will kind of like, soften the blow if you got a virus on your machine. So they actually made a hardware, something in the hardware itself that it would scramble the signal somehow. Basically a virus is not a hardware issue. It's a software program. Somebody had written basically take down your machine or make it, infect other people's computers by messing their computers up, wiping programs off, or screwing with programs that they don't work correctly, and then it also basically eventually will take down your machine. It probably will destroy physically the hardware of your hard drive and other things. But so making a processor that can actually, work with the software was actually, I thought, an ingenious idea. And in the day, I thought AMD did a really good job with that. So, but Intel, I guess they kind of jumped on board with that whole thing. Now, again, I'm not mentioning much because I don't want to spend all night again, because I was up until it was, sunny out. 7 o'clock in the morning, I was still basically putting my show together, so I can't do that again. So here's some, I haven't done this in a while, folks. I wanted to read some stories. And by the way, I didn't even know about this, but there was this, I still have it up. I always find some really interesting movies I never heard of. So I was looking for this one that it was called, let me see, I just had it up. I had some, another thing I want to mention too. It's an Italian film. Now, most of these Italian films are not that good. They're actually really bad. Personally, if I would pick my part of the globe who makes the best horror movies that I've seen so far, honestly, I think it's actually from Spain. Not to be jaded, but I've watched a lot of these Spanish horror films. Actually, the ones from the Asian countries are actually interesting. They actually go a little bit in depth with the supernatural. But the ones I saw from Spain were actually really good. And I'm talking the ones of, I guess it was called The Living Dead or something like that. I mentioned before, one of the movies I do remember is called The Ghost of Gallion. Those were really good films. I actually liked those. I wasn't going to buy them at first because I think there was 5 movies in the list, or, it wasn't just a trilogy, one a little over that part. But those were from Spain, a Spanish director, and those were actually rather really good. So I'm always a little leery, but I do like different types of films. They're basically either exploitation films, which I have to mention one I forgot about. In fact, I got to pull it up again. So I'm going to put that in my list right now so I just won't forget. Let me make sure I spell it right. I'm going to try to hold out from this. That one I'll keep. I won't say much because I'll end up saying too much, and I'll go off on another thing. But anyway, this film from Italy was actually, it's all in Italian, so there was one part in English. Now I'm hoping, I got it for $12. They re-released the film under a different name, but it's called Island of the Fishmen. Now, those B horror movies, one of my favorite, literally my favorite B horror movies, I'm not even kidding, was Humanoids from the Deep. Now, that was a Roger Corman film, I think. And the reason I like that, because it also was a little bit of a sexual type of film where these they were also like fishmen that were basically raping and procreating with women, like raping them on the beach. And so it had that's the whole thing about Roger Corman. He actually incorporates sex into his horror movies. I mean, perverted sex. So, I'm kind of always there on top of that stuff. I hate to say it, but I kind of am. So, Humanoids in the Deep, I was a teenager, I think, at the time. I wanted to see that. And it actually was pretty good. It was actually a pretty good movie, but he made sure the woman who actually was a woman, I think, who actually originally had laid down the film the way she wanted it. I think it was Roger Corman. I got to look that one up now, too. He wanted more sex in the film, so he actually added stuff that the woman who directed this film was not too happy with. Let me see. I ended up buying that film. Another one that I actually posted, by the way, from Roger Corman, which was one of his, was this movie called Galaxy of Terror, which I had my father take me to go see when I was 13. Now, that movie was also another film where they had to add women getting raped by a monster or something, or women getting raped by monsters. And that movie was really, like, the whole thing was just how much sex can we add into a really low-budget horror film. And that's, like, basically all of Roger Corman's films. Yeah, it says Barbara... It looks like Barbara Peters was one of the directors or somebody else. She wasn't too pleased how he changed the film, because I swear to God, it's one of... No, I don't mean to say it, but, I'm pretty sure that is a Roger Corman film, if I remember correctly. But technically, the original director, was this woman. She was not happy with the changes. Again, because Roger Corman, his whole thing is, let's add some sex into a film. Written by Conrad, New Horizons permission. I'll have to put that in because it's not actually coming up as a Corman film, but I think, I think it is. He's made, like, all his movies incorporate sex. That's why I'm putting it in. Now, don't get me wrong. The man's like, he's made so many, I put Orman. Okay, yeah. Roger Corman actually made the one that didn't do well. I actually kind of enjoyed it. He made the Fantastic Four back in '94 that never got released. We can get it. It says he did Sharktopus. See, I'm trying to look for... They're not, like, really old films. You're talking 80s, but still. Because I did watch a couple of the Corman older films, the classic ones he's best known for. Attack of the Giant Leeches, I think, being one of them. Yeah, Galaxy of Terror was definitely a Corman film. I thought that was correct on that, and I was. But again, Corman, he makes very low-budget films. And the reason these low-budget films do so well, though, is because then he eventually incorporates, obviously, it says he also did Piranha. He incorporates women basically scantily clothed, or whatever you want to say, scantily clothed. And he also has to incorporate, some type of women getting raped by monsters. So that becomes his, like, big thing, and it actually does really well because every film he's done that with has done rather really good. I'm going to put in Roger Corman because I think it is a Corman film. Even though he did not direct it, he did put his input. Corman, Humanoids from the Deep, Wikipedia. Let's see what that says. Because I'm pretty sure he did get, produced by Roger Corman, executive producer. So that's what happened. The original director, she actually wanted it to, like, kind of empower women, but I guess just knowing that Roger Corman could take any film and actually make it work, They went back, if I remember correctly, because I watched the extras. I bought that film, I think probably more than once, because I have it on Blu-ray as my last rendition of the film. And actually, because that was one of these films I grew up, it's like one of those wet dream films. Why a horror movie? But most kids probably did that because horror films, you can kind of like get away of seeing girls nude or, having sex with or whatever, hot looking girls. And you got away with it because it's like, hey, it's a horror film. I like horror films. But the real reason was more, what makes a horror film like do so well? Well, you put sexy girls in there, sexy women. And it does work. Trust me. It really does. So, in Corman films, that was the main ingredient why his films did so well. They were really low budget. The monster costumes were horrendous. I mean, they were like the worst things you've ever seen. But yet, the Corman films are, all of them are well known for being like classic B horror movies. And I mean, you're talking like really cheesy costumes. And why did they do so well? Well, simply because you put hot-looking women in there. And it worked every time. So, it's funny because I remember, again, this woman director, she had a different way how she wanted this film called Humanoid. I don't even think it was called Humanoids from the Deep at first. I forget. But her adaptation, the original idea for the film was nothing that was like what was released, which basically it turned into a sex horror film. And when you find that out, then that's a different story. There's another director who's like that too, who makes, I don't know if that's also Corman though, Roger Corman, because there's some other film about people who turn into sex zombies. And that, I don't know who did that. Was that Corman or not? I'll have to look that up. Just put in sex zombies. And trust me, I liked that. That movie was very perverse, the one I'm thinking of, with the sex zombies. I can't remember the name. I think it was called Sliver or something. Oh, no, it was called Shivers. Another well-known director, by the way. Yeah, Shivers, 1975. First time I ever saw that, I actually downloaded it illegally. The movie is actually very, very perverse. I mean, you are talking, this is 1975. The first thing you see, the first person who turns into a sex zombie is a young schoolgirl. I'm not even kidding. And she is like literally a zombie who's just trying, like a schoolgirl. The almost like the Catholic schoolgirl kind of outfit, if I remember correctly. It's been so long. And she's trying to have sex with guys, but she's like a zombie. So, who was that director? Because he actually did some really good films besides Shivers, that particular director. He also did Videodrome. David Cronenberg. That guy is very perverse, too. By the way, I didn't realize that on that list is this movie called Rabbit. Now, one thing, if you like horror movies like I do, I love all the old horror movies. I just watched one tonight, which I wanted to get into. A rather old one I didn't realize was based upon true facts or whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, that's another one you want to look up. It's Cronenberg. That guy was a sick, perverted fuck, but his films are actually really good. But he actually did this movie called Rabbit as well. Rabbit, not like a bunny rabbit, but Rabbit as like a rabid dog. That movie is like a classic horror film that I've never watched, but that I didn't realize, I forgot that was a Roger Corman film. And that's actually on, what I wanted to say is this thing called, of all things, it's called Shudder.com. I think it's called Shudder. Now, you can sign up for it. It's all classic horror movies. I mentioned this before. Horror movies, the exploitation horror films, all of them, you get them for $5 a month, and you can actually watch it on your TV. If you're like me and you have an Xbox or a PlayStation 4, I have the PlayStation 4 now, and you can get the Amazon Prime on there, you're set. Which all you have to do is on Amazon Prime, you can sign up for. Then you can sign up for Shudder, and you can watch your horror movies on your big TV set, like I do, or on your computer, or on your iPhone, or any other, what do you call it, smartphone, or laptop device, or your iPad. So you got a lot of options. You can get all these horror movies all the time, 24/7. So anyway, when I mentioned about Cronenberg, he did a lot of, the biggest one was Scanners, but he also did the movie called Videodrone, which I don't see. He did Dead Zone. That was his piece. Videodrone was a really good film because it was hot and sexy at the time because it had Deborah Harry in there playing a very perverse part. Deborah Harry is a great actress as well as a singer from Blondie. But yeah, that was a different story. But yeah, that was cool too. But when I got into the whole perverse thing, I did have, when you mention perversity, you have to mention Cronenberg as well. And, but yeah, I grew up, basically, the films that, my little sick, perverted mind wanted to watch were, without knowing it, going back to him, were all basically Cronenberg, right? Cronenberg films. Humanoids of Deep being number one on the list. So let me see if I can find it again. Or is that, no, David Cronenberg is the other guy who did the other sick, perverted films. Let me see, exclusive producer again, I guess. I have to look. Because I'm already forgetting. I'm losing track of. Yeah, Barbara Peters for Humanoids of Deep, going back to that. She was she was the director. She was not happy with the changes, trust me. Yeah, Roger Corman. Between Roger Corman, they're running neck and neck on perversity and like low budget film work. Roger Corman and David Cronenberg. Now, David Cronenberg is really just out there in left field. His stuff is more of like art house films, but there are also very exotic sex films, but in a very weird and strange way. But yeah, they both their films, these directors, not directors, both these producers make very perverse, off the wall sex films, horror sex films. So only iWalter would know this kind of useless information, I'll tell you that much. But hey, but anyway, I like certain these classic horror movies, don't get me wrong, as well. I mean, you're talking to the person who, I just started going through all the Friday the 13th again, because they're kind of like B-horror movies themselves, too. But when I see like one I haven't seen, especially the ones over in Europe, I will kind of track those down and buy them, because some of them I like. Again, this one that I just bought tonight for like $14 is cheaper than Blu-ray, and it's the original copy, and then the another film this director made from over in Italy, which I can't pronounce his name, did this movie called Island of the Fishmen. I've never heard of it, but it did remind me of that movie I just mentioned called Humanoids from the Deep. It was like, okay, I'm into those kind of films. I just love those, so I have to see this one. Anyway, I'm just going to kind of dig through these stories really quick, because there were some that I actually seen posted, and I kind of grabbed them, put them on my Facebook page so I could see them. One was from some girl. She puts up like really cool articles. I'm going to have to find this girl's name, because she's got some really, really cool stories. Let's see. Let me just open up another page. See if I can figure it out. Because I'm like, anymore, I'm still on really cute looking girl, but she puts up like, she's more demented I am on like horror films and horror stories and just gory things she posts. And I like take everything she puts up and I just basically post it on my page. I just love everything she does. So, I'm going to try to look for her name. Give her some credit, actually. She's really, really good. So anytime I have like this stuff that's like really perverse and sick, I know it's from this one girl. It's kind of funny too. There's another guy that's actually, now it's a guy that's putting up some really wacky stuff too. But these people, I find movies that I've never even heard of. And again, that being said, some funny stuff. Let me see if I can find her. Now I won't find this girl because, there's a couple people that most of my sources of information do come from. So, but this one particular girl, she puts up some really good horror stuff. Oh, I think yesterday, by the way, the one Hispanic guy who plays like he was in Breaking Bad, he plays in different like gory horror movies. It was his birthday. I got to look for his name now. And I can't remember his name. He was in Breaking Bad. He was the guy who basically his head was put on eventually onto the turtle's back, the tortoise's back. I can't remember that actor's name. So, yeah, I'm trying to. Now I can't find this one girl. She puts up like the most horrific stuff, but I love everything she puts up. I'm like copying everything, and now I can't find her. So I apologize because I would love to give her a name. I'm actually still scrolling down to see if I can find something from her because I like literally steal so much from her. I just feel bad after a while. I was like, listen, your webpage is my webpage because I'm taking everything from this poor girl. No, I don't think that's her. There's a girl that actually has something up. I think her name's Nasa Hall. She's got some cool stuff, but that's not the one I'm thinking of, I don't think. You know what? I'll go back to my page, maybe because I did share it from her page. It'll show up. No, the one I got, the stories, this guy has a Facebook page, and it's called Grindhouse Sleaze and 80s VHS Trash basically tapes. And that's from David Transaksky or something like that. He's really good. I don't know if this is the girl. There's one girl she puts up. Well, she's one of them that puts up really, really good stuff. But this is not the one who puts up the really Casey Mora. But she's not the one who puts up like the really gory crap that I take. Casey's really good, too. There's a couple of girls I have on Facebook that I share everything they put up just because it's that damn good, I'm telling you that much. Yeah, so. And I had some stories that I do want to read, too. Like I said, I just don't want to be up all night. And let's see if yeah. Oh, I wish I could give you her name because she does. I like try to get more people to come her way. She just puts up the most incredible stuff. But her name's not coming up right now, so I apologize. It's going to be like getting everybody excited for no reason at all. But again, at this point, oh yeah, happy birthday to Danny. I can't say his last name. Danny Trio or something. Is it Trijo or Trio? He's got like a pretty rough looking face, but the man makes like every horror movie. It started like, I think when I first got introduced to him, I don't know how old he turned because he was in Breaking Bad, is when he did From Dusk to Dawn. He ended up turning into a vampire. But he's got a hard looking face, but the man makes like the most incredible, like he's a good action type person. Like he does really good with the action horror movies and stuff like that. And he's practically in every single one of them, which is even more impressive. Okay, I'm drawing a blank with this poor girl. I know she'll show up eventually, and when she does, I will mention her name. I'll try to make a note of doing so as well. Because I really enjoy the stuff she posts. I'll tell you that much. Oh. Another thing, as somebody just put up, I'm going to put up right now, was Elizabeth Cruz put something up, abandoned child prank, where this girl lists her face and she looks like some type of hideous creature. But she acts like she's a lost young girl, child, scared the shit out of people. Now this one's interesting. This is from Wanda Carr. I'm just looking through things I didn't see before. It's a picture of a giant 4-foot-long killer worm that was discovered in an aquarium in New Quarries Blue Reef Aquarium in the UK. They found Barry the giant killer worm when they were trying to find out what was eating the prize fish and attacking the coral. Now, this thing is hideous looking. It looks like a snake, but it's a worm. Experts say that this worm can permanently numb a human with its sting. So it's something you don't want to actually encounter very close, at a close distance without you getting hurt permanently. I don't know if this is the girl. I don't think it is. There's one that's got some horror movies, Gina Marie Edgar, or something like that. Elgar. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's a girl from Australia. She's actually popped up again, too. I'm glad. No, there's this one girl. I know when I see her right away that she's... Well, I hope she didn't block me now, because I do actually share almost like 99% of the stuff she puts up. I just love it. So there's not much I don't share from her. And she's like my source. I mean, I got a lot of sources right now, trust me, of horror stuff, because that's my main thing I like to look up. I enjoy horror movies and stuff. So, and I know a lot of people that do, so I'm not the only one. So then, you know what? I can't find her. I apologize again. I said that, 5 times already, and I keep on trying to look for her anyway. And with... Oh, well, what's this? Marvel Universe. Something I found from Dead Cool Comics shared Marvel Universe video. These were I guess, when they had TV shows back that never really made it for Captain America, The Incredible Hulk. These were different ones. Iron Man. It looks really hideous. Ones I've never, ever heard of. Well, The Incredible Hulk I did, because Lou Ferrigno. Black Widow. There was a TV show that never went anywhere. Black Widow. Like I said, Loki, The Incredible Hulk. Now, I did see a trailer or a little bit for not Iron Man, but the Captain America. That looked really bad. Yeah, these were things, I think probably closer to the 70s. There was a little bit of time. Hawkeye. That's funny. I think some of it's just making fun of. But yeah, some of these actually were superhero shows that just never really made it that far. You know, the only one that actually was well known, believe it or not, was... Oh, this is creeping me out. There's a story, some John Peltier, looks like? Pelter? There is a Peltier. That's I think a terminology or whatever. It says, the Amityville Ghost. In 1976, professional photographer Gene Campbell set up a camera on the second floor. I actually got chills, folks, going down my back right now. Landon of 120... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Landon of 112 Ocean Drive, Amityville, New York, the location of the Defoe murders 2 years earlier. I'm really getting chills down my back. Because there's a picture that's just creeping me out. Many rolls of film and experts, and my eyes are starting to water, I'm not joking, were exposed, all showing nothing out of the ordinary, except for one frame is this, I'm going to be crying, is the ghost of John Matthew Defoe. So, yeah, there's a creepy picture of a kid that got shot on one frame of the kid's ghost. This is no fucking joke. I forgot to mark it because it really fucking creeps me out, folks. I'm not even fucking kidding. That's why I'm cursing right now because I'm like actually ready to defecate in my pants, and I'm not even joking. And this picture will not go away. And now I put it on my Facebook page. I will have some lighter stories, trust me. That one in particular just really creeped the shit out of me. I'm not even remotely making that up. And I like horror movies, but I don't like ones that are just, oh, this is for real, because that stuff doesn't take much to creep me out, trust me. I got to look for something a little bit more light-hearted so I can calm myself the F down. Yeah, I've been doing too much effing. Okay, this is pretty funny. Somebody put up something as a joke on, looks like, what's it called? Toon Collectos. Freddy bodies Jason and, Buddies. No, it says bodies Jason in back-to-back freestyle. Basically what it is, it's a skit of Jason actually texting somebody on a computer, and then he gets in a fight with Freddy Krueger. So somebody made this up, so it's kind of funny. I need something, because that other picture creeped me out. By the way, it's like playing now, so I apologize. I'm turning around because I thought it was something else. That's how creeped out I am, folks, from that one picture. That really creeped me out. I didn't realize, because I got my speaker on my main computer. I should turn that off, I guess. Okay, I'm going to go through these stories. I've been saying this all night. I have not gone through these stories. I really went on to a different in a different direction. So I got this story from some chick on Facebook. It was really cool. I think she appreciated it. I shared it from her page. Newark woman, Newark is in New Jersey, tries to eat man's face and then takes a bite out of boyfriend's chest and armpit. So this was a story that was just up last night. This is no joke. Actually, it was on Sunday. Police believe it may have been a combination of cocaine and crystal meth that set off Lindy A. Stewart on a biting rampage. Now, that's funny about this whole crystal meth thing. My one friend, Matt, friend from work, Little Matt, he actually said he walked into some place and he said all those people looked like they were actually strung out on, meth or something, crystal meth or something. I forget where he said it was a Wawa or something. And it was like, yeah, this is how bad things have gotten around here. So that people aren't working. They're just spending 99% of their time just doing drugs, partying, driving recklessly, which I have a story for that one too. Because I actually got pictures, by the way. I was coming home from what was called a ratification meeting, came back to my neck of the woods in Trooper, King of Prussia area. And right where there's Walmart and there's this place called Longhorn in Trooper, there's this really, really, really bad car accident. How bad was it, Walter? And I have a story to back that one up, too. I got to look for that so I can kind of like appropriately put it together. The one on the woman biting some guy I put up like 5 times. So I got to shut all those extra ones down. Even got a story of a guy that looks like Adolf Hitler, or tries to. And he is one of those kind of neo-Nazi things. Well, I don't know which one I should do first, story-wise, because I got a story that kind of supports what my suspicions were. There's this bad accident with 2 major big trucks, like those pickup trucks. And I hate to say it, not to be discriminatory, but most of the times around here, the people who drive like brand new, big, huge pickup trucks are generally, for the most part, they look like illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, but they look like people that are probably not legally in this country, and for some reason, the majority of them are like Hispanic Latino descent. They love those big freaking pickup trucks. I don't know why. So tonight, actually, after we had our ratification meeting, I came home. I wanted to eat at this place called Arby's around the house, right across from Walmart. And there was like every police officer over right in front of this place called Longhorn. There was it was lit up like Christmas over that way. Everybody from the fire police to the fire department were out there. Every EMT was out on that street corner because this accident was so severe with 2 pickup trucks. I got some pictures. Unfortunately, I was ready to go home and get my real camera and go back because this was like stop in traffic. Trust me, just to look at it, the road was a mess. These 2 trucks at this traffic light, if you've been where the Walmart is in Trooper, hit each other head on. And I almost got in an accident in the exact same spot Sunday afternoon with some kid who was texting and racing, almost ran right into my car because he wasn't paying attention when I was turning. So why am I mentioning that my suspicion that they're probably, because I made a joke through a text to a friend. I said, probably they were of Hispanic descent with these 2 trucks. I got some pictures. They're not that close because they were on my cell phone. Now, I had taken the pictures. I actually pulled into the Wawa across the street and tried to zoom in. So you know what happens. For some reason, for the Apple phones, the pictures turn out like garbage. I don't care which Apple phone you have. The best ones are like the Google phones. I've seen them take pictures. They take incredible pictures. So anyway, why am I mentioning this? Because then I find this article, lo and behold, tonight from MSN, because now I'm using a Windows laptop. I'm, obviously reading the MSN news, and what do I see? This is what the title is, folks. This is no joke. This was just like a few hours ago this was posted. 7 hours to be precise. Truck full of illegal immigrants crashes into Naval Air Station. I'm not even joking. And it looks like the wreck of this truck looks exactly like the wreckage I've seen between these 2 cars that hit each other head on. I'm not even kidding. I got the pictures. So I'm actually going to try to put those pictures up from my phone, and I'm going to use one of them probably, if not tonight, sometime in the future. I texted them to a friend. I'm going to look at those now, actually, because there's texts go to my computer as well. I texted to a friend. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So I'm going to use one of these pictures. Obviously, for the purpose of a thing for my my Facebook thing. I hate to say this, and I do it to try to pick on my friend. But the one friend, I was using my camera to put all these goofy faces on top of his head, and I was laughing so hard inside. It's like, dude, I'm not trying to pick on you. I think he would have laughed if I'd have showed it to him. I'm just too ashamed. It's like, dude, I'm making fun of you by putting all these fucking goofy faces on your face with this program called MSQRD. I did it before, and he actually thought it was funny because I let him know. This time I kind of didn't. But it is really funny. He's a cool dude. I'm not doing to pick on him. But yeah, I am going to use one of these photos that I actually have right now that I texted to a friend about this car accident, and I will use it for what do you call it? For my Spreaker thing tonight. But you look at the wreckage, even though the pictures are really shitty, and you look at the wreckage from the one from this naval air base with these illegals, which I'll read that in a minute, it looks exactly the same. Now, doesn't mean that they were illegals, but I wouldn't doubt it. Because I was in Walmart yesterday, and none of the people shopping here, most of them did not speak English whatsoever. It says Kingsville, Texas Naval Air Station Facebook. SUV that crashed into a gate at the Kingsville, Texas Naval Air Station. 3 people were recovering in the hospital Monday, and 12 were in custody after a truck carrying, get this, 15 illegal immigrants crashed into a barrier at Texas Naval Air Station on Saturday. And we don't need to build walls, though, Saturday night. The Corpus Christi Caller-Times reported the vehicle ran the initial entry gate at the Naval Air Station Kingsville before crashing into the base's final denial. It looks like denial barrier. The news release said the vehicle was not the subject of the pursuit prior to the crash. Air Station spokesman Kevin Clark told that Austin American-Statesman. 6 people initially were hospitalized after the crash, though there were subsequently released at and arrested. Three passengers ran from the vehicle soon after the impact, but the authorities tracked them down and arrested them after a brief manhunt. It says the occupants identified and country of origins were not immediately released, but you can kind of know where they came from. So there you go. You had, what was that? No, 15, it said illegal immigrants driving a big, massive, brand new looking truck, which is not new anymore because it's completely demolished. But that picture actually I did put on my Facebook page to let you know. So I experienced the same thing. It's almost like it was meant for me to see this, I think, because I could use it for a story, for one thing. And two, it kind of proves my point that, a lot of this stuff I talk about, like I really do sound like I'm talking out of my ass. How long have I been on the air for now? Let me check. It says an hour and 14 minutes. God, it feels like I've been on for like a century. I even drive myself nuts, listen to myself. So, yeah, it's just stuff like that. It's like, see, I told you so. I mean, I'm telling you, I told you so. Now I've drank so much liquids, water, iced tea, power drink, that I'm ready to explode. So I'm going to go through these stories even quicker, and it means that tonight will be even shorter for as far as me doing what do you call it? And I already freaked myself out, so... Hey, this was pretty cool. I'm bloody disgusting, folks, because, I'm in the horror movies. I haven't seen even the first 3 films. Insidious 4 announces writer, director, and release date. So there's going to be Insidious 4. I've never even watched any of the films. I started watching one of them because I got what's called HBO Go or something. And I think Insidious 3 was on there, and I never bothered to watch it all the way through. Or actually, no, it was the spinoff from Insidious. The one with the doll. That's as far as I got. So I didn't watch any of the Insidious movies. So it says the universe has just dropped a lot of information for the upcoming 4th entry in the James Wan created Insidious franchise. So I'm going to kind of cut to the chase. You can read the rest yourself, but it says October 20th, 2017. So it's not for another year anyway. It gives me time to catch up. I heard those films are actually really good, by the way. I heard they're really scary. Now, here's something I was really ecstatic by, because they're already doing spin-off movies for the Suicide Squad. And guess who's going to get one? I'm actually really happy because I got that T-shirt that will probably prove that one. Warner Brothers, where did I get this from? Comicbook.com. Harley Quinn's going to get her own movie. Isn't that great? That chick looks kind of hot, but she's going to get her own movie now. Not Harley Quinn, but the actress looks hot. The actress playing Harley Quinn. Developing a Harley Quinn movie. So she's actually already, before Suicide Squad came out, she's getting her own movie. By the way, that got me really pissed off. I put it up on Facebook, folks, but they were making fun of that in less than a weekend that new... Avengers movie made more money than Batman versus Superman did in, 2 months. And it's like, dude, I'm sorry. I still would take Batman versus Superman. I just grew up with Batman and Superman more so than any other superhero. So obviously, I'm very jaded, and I deliberately have not, and I have no, I have no interest at this point to go see. I still have no interest to go see the Avengers movie, because that's actually really, really for people that are diehard comic book fans, like people who grew up reading comic books. And I've said this a million times. The only comic books I ever read was Casper the Ghost, Wendy the Witch, and Dot and stuff like that. Like, I read the really simple, stupid-minded comic books. I've never, ever read any of those superhero ones on, I'm trying to think, Wolverine and stuff. I knew people who read those, and guess what? I was not one of them. So for me, that's like a complete waste of time. So seeing the Avengers movie, I have no interest in. Now, the whole universe of Batman, Superman, and the DC comics, I grew up at least with the television show, so I don't have a problem with that. Wonder Woman, yeah, I used to watch that too, so there you go. But it says, according to Hollywood Reporter, Warner Brothers is moving ahead with the Suicide Squad spin-off movie featuring Margaret Robbie, I call her Robbie, I don't know if that's right, Robbie's Harley Quinn. So I'd really be excited to see that. I don't know how far that would do, how well that would do, but I would be probably one of the number one people who would see it more than once. Again, I'm more interested, believe it or not, at this point, because I saw the last Avengers movie, by the way, and I wasn't that excited. I actually was starting to fall asleep because I'm not an Avengers fan. Now, I did like Captain America. I liked Captain America up until the point that Captain America became part of the Avengers, and it's just, now it's more for diehard, like I said, it's for diehard fans of comic books. I'm not a diehard fan of comic books, superhero comic books at least. So to me, that's just like a complete waste of time. So just saying. So anyway, let me go through these other stories real quick because I do want to finish. It is getting late again. It'll be 5 o'clock again. Now, this story was kind of funny. This was from New Jersey. And by the way, I picked some listener up. I got to find that real quick. Now, I picked up a listener from New York, which I never did before. I don't know how I did that. In Blairstown. Actually, 2 listeners for each. Yes, I'm still here. I'm just like put in my information to find out my statistics. And I'm happy. Maybe it's because I badmouthed that poor guy, but hey, I had my reason for doing that too. I didn't mean it to be harsh. Okay, geology. United States, France, Poland, UK, Croatia, Canada, and Vietnam. Unfortunately, they all dropped off. Like they have no. 5 of them don't even give 2 shits of listening to me for more than like, oh, I turned this on. Whoops, I made a mistake. But the last 2 from the U.S. is New York, New York. So New York City, I got 2 listeners, I guess, because it says 2%. I think that actually would be 2 listeners. And in Blairstown, I got 2 listeners, but that's probably me and me. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. Lansdowne, PA, Montgomery, PA, Allentown, PA, Mountain View, California, 5.2%. That's actually really good for me. Telford, PA, I think it's my friend from work. She actually listens to me on a regular basis. Woodbridge, New Jersey. That would probably be Blairstown area too, right? I don't know. Philadelphia, PA, because I was probably listening to myself on the way home. And then Coatesville, PA. I have another friend. She's actually from Solderton, but I never actually see her. So I feel bad because it's like, if I see you, I'll definitely mention that I got my friend from Solderton, but I don't. Anyway, going back to the story from New Jersey, it's really funny. Not really, but it is. Because this profile shot of this man, he's got the Adolf Hitler haircut and mustache, and he's 42 years old. Suspected white supremacist found in the Pinelands with an AK-47 and lots of ammo. So the guy was obviously very dangerous. Lacey Township, a 42-year-old Mercer County man, was arrested Sunday after police allegedly found him in Greenwood Forest Wildlife Management Area with an assault weapon, a handgun, and various forms of ammunition. Approximately at 1:05 p.m. on Sunday, a patrol team from Lacey Township Police Department led multi-agency task force observed a suspicious vehicle within the wooded area in Lacey Township. It goes on. Wow. He's got a bail right now of over $400,000, and he needs to make 10% of that. So, wow, that's high. Let's see what 10% is of $400,000. That's like buying a house. His bail set at the price of a home, like a really expensive home. Let's see, times 0.10. What is that? For 40,000? No, 400. No, $40,000 is 10% of making his bail. They did give him a 10%, but out of $400,000, that's crazy. My one friend from work will find this funny because the guy has actually had a Hyundai. My one friend, he took me to this meeting tonight, and he has a Hyundai. And those cars, I always thought they were pieces of shit, but he actually proved me wrong because it was a Tucson Hyundai, I think it said. A Tucson 2007 Hyundai Tucson. Isn't it that sports sports model car from Hyundai. But yeah, he's got over 130,000 miles on the car. It's like, dude, this thing, or 120, thing runs like it's brand new, like it's not even broken in yet. It's like, that's very impressive. You know, I was shocked for a Hyundai. Friend sent me this article earlier. I honestly did not read it, though. So I probably kind of won't read it now, but I'm just kind of, it said rapper juvenile allegedly attacks man at Waffle House. So I think the reason he sent that to me, by the way, because my friend knows I just have this thing for Waffle House, by the way. So looking at something else real quick. Yeah, he knows. I got into the Waffle House, honestly, because I never even know that Waffle Houses existed until I was down south. And now I was like, yeah, I love the Waffle House. I got to find Waffle Houses. It's like, send more Waffle Houses. This guy looks hideous in this picture. So this is an easy one for, easy read even for Walter. Once again, rapper juvenile allegedly attacks man inside South Carolina Waffle House. Now, that's mature, it says, for the first line. This guy's got, like, gold teeth, too. It's like, dude, how much you spent on those fucking ugly teeth? It says rapper juvenile allegedly attacked, once again, an unidentified man at a South Carolina Waffle House after a customer targeted his girlfriend. TMZ had reported juvenile, here come all the, what is this, H with dash S now. I don't know what that means. Hose? The man allegedly shouted when he saw the back that it says a dash up. What's that supposed to mean? Artist entered the restaurant. So I have no clue who this dude is. Upon hearing the assault, juvenile 41 and his entourage jumped the customer, TMZ said. So is that the guy's name? Is actually the rapper guy's name is Juvenile? Juvenile, whose real name is Therese Gray, was not charged in the incident because the customer didn't press charges. He's known to have a short fuse, though. So this guy, I guess, his rapper name, and he looks really hideous, I'm sorry, is named Juvenile, which would actually be pretty appropriate for the guy, obviously. In 2002, Juvenile was arrested for attacking his Barbara. So this guy obviously has got some issues. A year later, he was also sentenced to 75 hours community service after being involved in a brawl outside of a live nightclub in Miami Beach. So the guy's got money, but the guy obviously did pick a appropriate, rapper name for himself, because he is very juvenile. The guy looks ridiculous, and he's 41. He looks like a retard, honestly. No offense. I don't mean to say retard, because I don't want to insult people that are retarded, but this guy really does look like a retard. And they actually got, on quote-unquote, on this guy who calls himself Juvenile, they actually have a surveillance tape of him beating the crap out of some guy in the Waffle House. So there you go on that one. So I did have one more. Oh, wait. This is the same one. Yeah, I do have one more story. I just got to laugh at this idiot guy, though. So I just want to see if there's any other stories to kind of break up the monotony. If I don't, I only have one more story left, folks, and I'm done. So somebody put up a picture of a dog with a cat, a black lab, and there's actually a golden lab, too, a black and a golden lab. And there's this cat that is, like, perched and, like, sleeping in a little ball. This little cat's being protected by this black lab. It's kind of cute. I might actually have to put that on my Facebook page. Like, the cat is, like, in love with this black lab, and the lab's just protecting the cat, literally. Oh. I know which movie it is. There's some joke of... can't remember the name of the movie now. Well, if you know my Facebook page, there's this like thing. I wish they would kind of mark it. It's really, really funny. I'm going to put it on my Facebook page. I put it on my friends. This cat's got this expression on his face that's so funny. He's looking at, they took this scene from this one movie. God, I can't remember. That one movie, God, what's his name? Where he chains up the girl for being slutty or something. I can't remember. Black Salone or something like that. It's something on that line. Yeah, I have to look it up. Yeah. So one chick, she's on, she's like into all these comic book stuff. She's a really cute girl, but she's extremely, like, she put on a lot of weight. She's like really kind of hefty now. She's like huge. She's a cute girl, though. She lost weight. There's a girl at work, actually. She used to be really, really, really heavy. And I think she even at one point may have had a crush on me. It was like, no, I'm not interested. 'Cause she was kind of really, really fat. She worked at our we have a credit union at my job. And she used to work there years ago. She's a really smart girl, too. She's not dumb. But she was just, like, extremely fat. And no offense to her, but she was. And she was really hyper. She's still really hyper, but she lost weight. And she does look really good. I saw her tonight. I was like, oh, my God. You not only kept off the weight, you really look like a different person. So I'm not going to mention her name because I do know it. I'm trying to look for this movie. I kept oh God, I can't find the movie. No. I can't find the movie. She was chained up. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, it was called Black Snake Moan. I couldn't remember the movie. It is a comedy movie. That was back in 2006 now. Wow. Well, they got this thing, a scene from the movie with this JPEG thing, whatever you want to call it, from back. What is it called again? I just had it. Black Sloan Moan, I guess it's called, right? Black Snake Moan. I'm sorry, Black Snake Moan. And they got Samuel L. Jackson. That had Christina Ricci. She was really hot. I think she still is, right? Yeah, she's still hot. But they got this picture with Samuel L. Jackson. I know it's from that movie. He's got this look where his eyes are really wide open. He played Samuel L. Jackson. I'm sorry. He's a fucking hilarious actor. But he's got this cat where the cat's eyes are open, just staring. Looks like he's staring at the character that Samuel L. Jackson plays. And they both got the same expression on their face. One's of the cat, and the other one is of Samuel L. Jackson. And every time I see it, I'm just like cracking up. I'm laughing my ass off. Because the picture is freaking hilarious. So I got to give credit to the person who did that one. I'm going to share this picture of this chick. She's dressed up like a character from Doctor Who. She's a big Doctor Who fan. I love her. Her name's Katie and something, but she really did kind of put on quite a bit of weight. And she's a really, really cute girl. But because I'm looking at pictures, she's a big Doctor Who fan. I love that about her. But yeah, she really, I hate to say it, she really kind of put on the weight. But she's a cute girl. She loves Doctor Who. But I don't know what happened to her. She really ballooned up. Poor girl. 5 hours ago, she put up this publicity shot. And she's trying to be like this character called Ace from Doctor Who back in the day when Sylvester McCoy is. She put it up as her new picture. Oh, thank God. She's a cute girl. She's really, really cute girl, though. Don't get me wrong. I think she's a single mom, too. I didn't know that. But she's a big Doctor Who fan. And now she's just, it's a horrible shot of her. But I did put it up on my Facebook page. Not to pick on her because, hey, I'm all for Doctor Who. And the fact that she is, a Doctor Who fan means that she's a fan of mine. And it's just the way she was dressed. I feel bad that I put the picture up, but I didn't do it for people to pick on, trust me, because I don't, go for that stuff. But she's another one. She actually put some stuff that's really cool, and I will borrow stuff from her. So I had to put up her picture. I just liked it. And I'm doing it out of appreciation because I'm a big Doctor Who fan. I'm going to try to quickly move her off the top of my pictures to come up because I don't want people to see that and say, why did you put that picture up with that girl? Well, she's a Doctor Who fan. So, that is my reason. I'm not doing it for any other purpose. I do sometimes do stuff just to pick on people, but certain people that are friends, no, I don't do it to single them out, so to speak. That's the last thing I want to do because then I'll never hear the end of it. No, I'm seriously, I would feel bad. Ooh. It's a picture, a publicity shot from the one Grindhouse film. Classic one, too, with all the chicks. God, what was that name of that movie? I don't know if that was a Grindhouse film, though. It was an exploitation film. God, I can't remember the name now. Let's see if they actually have it named. I know what it is on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know off the top of my head. It's that one with all the women that basically are the ones that are the perpetrators, whatever, and they end up kidnapping some guy and I think killing him almost. There's an old shot. God, it doesn't even look like her. She was really young. What do you call it? From Halloween. She looks really hot, though, and she's really young. When it comes to names, I'm really bad. Let's see. Let me at least get one. Jamie Lee Curtis. She looked really, really fucking hot. Yeah, she was real young, too. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is one person, by the way. I love her for the stuff she did in the past. She's still a really good actress. She just, like the rest of us, she did not age very well at all. Oh, by the way, folks, I'm actually almost going to have a 2-hour show after all. Ha-ha. Yeah, there was one thing I had to put up. It was, again, it does say Roger Corman now, cult classic. I have to buy that film again because I don't think I own it in my possession. I would love to own it. In fact, I'll have to look for that now. Galaxy of Terror was one of my... There was the girl who played Joni. I think I mentioned this before, from Joni from Happy Days. And she was in this movie called Galaxy of Terror. The movie was god-freaking awful. But the best thing about the film was, again, because it was a Roger Corman film, what does it have? Sex in there. Like this one, I remember seeing this in the movie theater. I think it pissed off my dad because I was only like 13 years old. There's a part in the film, this is no joke, where a girl gets raped, fucked, she gets killed, slimed to death by a big, like, maggot thing. Like, literally, she gets raped by a big, like, some type of maggot or something. And, again, because that's Roger Corman for you, is make sure some bad picture of a shark movie. I think I know which one it is, too. I didn't even know it existed. You can buy from this one link. I don't even think I gave folks you this link of where you can get, like, classic movies that don't exist anymore, horror-wise. So I'm going to have to look for that, too. But, yeah, the reason I like Galaxy of Terror was because it had, a girl basically getting fucked by a big maggot. I was like, dude, I'm right there. I'm going to remember this until I get home, and I'll finish off whatever I can remember. In the privacy of my own bedroom with my dad saying, I know what you're doing in there. Let's see if I can find this link, though, for these movies. But I put Galaxy Terror up for that sole purpose, because that was a Spanker Chiff movie. How's that? If you don't know what that is, then look it up. And, I don't know. I can't find a link now, folks. I had this link. I didn't think it was that far now, and I'm looking through my Facebook. I had this link that you can actually get all these classic horror movies. If they don't exist anymore, there's a place you can get them now. They basically transfer them to, if they're only released on VHS to DVD. What happens about our contract? Look stuff up. Okay. Maybe I did mention it, but if I did, I apologize. It's called SumoGorilla.com. So, yeah, that is really cool. You can get some really rare horror movies. But right now, I actually did pre-order because I love all the Jaws movies, by the way. They are going to release the rest of the Jaws films finally on Blu-ray. Though all they've ever released is Jaws, the original movie. Now they're going to release Jaws 2 and Jaws 3 on Blu-ray for the first time, and Jaws 4. Now, I didn't know this, by the way, that website I just mentioned, which I already forgot, where you can get classic horror films, they said, yeah, this has nothing to do with the rest of films, called Sumo Gorilla. You can buy a copy of what was called Jaws 5, and they said, yeah, this is a really big, just let you know, and I think this one screenshot I got is from this movie called Jaws 5. They basically said on Sumo Gorilla that, just let you know, this is just cashing in on the whole Jaws franchise. It will only cost, he said it only will cost, what do you call it? Like $11 if you want to buy the film, because it's like probably a DVD-R. But he said. But they say on this site, yeah, it's like $5. Or not $5. I'm sorry, $11. It was like, I'm thinking 5 because it's called Jaws 5. And I'm like actually tempted to like buy it, because I did this with some other. Because I like the shark films. I like the Jaws films. So I'm like tempted to buy it. You can get it for like $11. I just want to get myself into like major debt buying all these hideous films that, I can't rent them. So I end up buying them, and then I just waste money that way. But, you can get that on Sumo Gorilla, by the way. I still have to go to the bathroom, so I'm like squirming right now. I got to go really bad. But there's this screenshot. I think it is from that movie. It looks actually kind of impressive, too. Believe it or not. But I might be from this movie called Jaws 5. They said the movie is so bad on Sumo Gorilla. You can buy it, but you're buying it at your own risk, because they said that they actually took parts from different movies, even Star Wars, which had nothing to do with Jaws. But they said they took little bits of the movie from Jaws 1, Jaws 2, and Jaws 3, and made a movie called Jaws 5 that had nothing to do with it. It's like basically conglomeration of different films where they cut bits and pieces to make this film called Jaws 5. But they must have added, in addition, some extra footage, which is kind of funny. So right now I got to look up, like I was mentioning, about Galaxy Terror, because that was one of my Spanker Chiff films from back in the day. I can't believe, by the way, I'm looking at right now, they actually made a movie called Angry Birds, the movie. I think that's ridiculous. If I can get Galaxy Terror really cheap, I'd probably buy it. Yeah, Galaxy Terror DVD is $12.72 on Prime. I'm actually seriously tempted to buy in that, because I love that film. It is a horrendous film, but, it also... Oh, it's on Blu-ray, too. Yeah, for $100, forget that. Galaxy Terror. Unless I own it, because I've done that before, by the way, too. I bought films I already own and didn't realize I actually had in my possession. I thought I did buy... No, I don't know. Because it was released back in 2010. And, yeah, it's just... The whole thing was, that film was a Roger Corman film, and it had sex in there. So that's the two things Walter likes to watch, because he'll never get it in real life. So get it where I can get it. And that would be, from these bad horror. I mean, yeah, finding a woman nude. The only way I'm going to see that is on a bad horror film. I can't even get it from a regular film. I'm too embarrassed. I'll definitely not get it from porn because I'll find it boring. Let's see. Galaxy of Terror, $15. Blu-ray, $20. Much better price, though. I don't know if, somebody's actually, I'll put it on my, Galaxy of Terror. I do have so many films, by the way, at this point, folks. I don't even know what I own anymore. I did buy a couple of the Roger Corman films, so let's see what it'd be for buy now. I'll look it on eBay, by the way. I should check to make sure I don't own the movie already. I should put Blu-ray. In fact, I own so many films, folks. There's some that are, this is no joke, I got films that are still in the shrink wrap. I never even got around to open them up. Once in a blue moon, like if I'm really, really like, okay, I'm just going to start looking through this stuff I bought and I never opened up. It might be months or years later, but I do eventually get around to certain things. And I do watch it. But, well, honestly, I don't think it's worth buying on Blu-ray. I think I already own it anyway, so that's a given almost. I don't know. So let me go for my last film, folks. I can say adios for tonight at 4 o'clock in the morning. Last story is from TVLine.com. Bates Motel, which I've stopped watching. I did like that one girl who is on crutches. She's really cute. She's British, too. I like the woman who plays the mom. She's hot, too. I like her in a lot of those movies she makes. Anyway, it says Bates Motel Season 5 to introduce psycho icon Marion Crane. Now, Marion Crane is the woman who gets stabbed in the shower. That is actually, what do you call it, mom in real life. Wow. I'm drawing a blank again. Halloween. Who was that? It's coming to me. Halloween. John Carpenter. Oh, I'm supposed to go, Jamie Lee Curtis. I am supposed to go see John Carpenter at a thing he's doing, an event. I paid a lot of money for it, I think. My friend Matt asked me about, he's interested in going now. I got a meet and greet with John Carpenter. I think I met him before. I can't remember. And I got to look for that ticket now because I paid an arm and a leg for that. I'm glad I reminded myself. So anyway, Jamie Lee Curtis's mom is the woman who plays Marion Crane in the movie of Psycho. So if you do watch Bates Motel, it says which in Monday's season 4 climax teed up a truly psycho final season by killing off some character Norma Bates is planning to introduce the film's most iconic victim, Marion Crane. I really got to go, folks, because I do have to use the restroom. I hope you enjoyed my show, but hey, if you watch Psycho, that's something to look forward to, by the way, too. The character Marion Crane is going to be somehow introduced into the TV show now of Psycho. So thanks again if you listened to me. If you enjoyed what I listened to, please continue on. If you find somebody else who might like what I actually talk about, which is a bunch of nonsense, get them to listen in too. I appreciate the extra audience members when I can get them. Now that I'm getting them in New York and Blairstown and in California. So that's really cool. Thanks again. This is Walter at 4 o'clock in the morning. Signing off for now. Have a good morning, folks. This is Walter.